26 Phillies legends will enter the Toyota Phillies Wall of Fame, a tradition that began in 1978 at Veterans Stadium. Later on this season, we look forward to honoring our third inductee, Scott Rowland, as we induct him September 27th. We now invite to the stage Phillies managing partner and chief executive officer, John Middleton. And now, please welcome to the stage those Phillies players who have been bestowed one of our team's highest honors.
Oh, these are the guys done. Oh my goodness. Wow. He was up there last night in the booth. Yes. Schmidt's three-way. Oh, Carlton's there too. Oh, the bull. Okay, I think it's up next. Hey, all right, Michael. This is it.
Steve Carlton.
Woo!
Now, we would like to invite John Littleton to the podium to say a few words about our first inductee, John Quinn.
In a January 1959 UPI article, when asked why he hired John Quinn, Bob Carpenter replied, quote, "I wanted to get the best, and my first choice was John Quinn," end quote. When Bob lured John away from the Braves in 1959, he was the most coveted executive in Major League Baseball, having won the 1957 World Series and National League pennants in 1948 and 1958. It proved to be one of the Phillies' best hires. Baseball literally courses through the Quinn family's veins. John's father, son, son-in-law were all gentlemen, and the fourth generation is in the game too. My generation claims to be emotionally scarred by the 1964 collapse, but we forget that team won 92 games compared to only 47 games in 1961. The difference maker was John Quinn. Of the most important players on that 64 team, 11 were John's draft picks or trades, including Dick Allen, Johnny Callison, Jim Bunning, and Tony Taylor. the team's core. Of the 43 names on our Wall of Fame, 7 are John Quinn's players. Only 9 Phillies had their number retired, 4 of whom were required by John Quinn. Mike Schmidt and Dick Allen by draft, Steve Carlton and Jim Bunning by trade. That is an extraordinary achievement. But even more remarkable is the fact that John acquired the greatest position player, Mike Schmidt, and the greatest pitcher, Steve Carlton, in Phillies history. Throughout his career, John focused on player development and baseball's farm system. He rebuilt the Phillies scouting department and player development system, and in the process instilled his philosophy and standards in a young Paul Owens and Ruly Carpenter. John promoted Paul Owens to scout, and in 1966 promoted Paul to the director of our farm system. John used his knowledge and discerning judgment to draft and develop the core of the 1980 championship team, including Mike Schmidt, Greg Lozinski, Bob Boone, and Larry Bowe. In his final act as our general manager, John made one of the best trades in Major League Baseball history, bringing 4-time Cy Young winner Steve Carlton to Philadelphia. Imagine the 1980 team without those players. Finally, John had a social conscience. Having integrated the Braves in 1950, the 5th Major League team to do so, John fully integrated the Phillies, beginning in 1961 by bringing Wes Covington over from the Braves. Wes was the first African American to play regularly for the Phillies, and he was joined later by Fergie Jenkins, Bill White, and Alex Johnson. John Quinn's imprint on the Phillies is an enduring one, not only for the great players he brought into the organization, but also for his leadership in integrating the team and instilling scouting and player development focus, which we continue to follow. We are fortunate to have John's family here as we add him to the Philadelphia Phillies Wall of Fame. Now it is my pleasure to introduce one of John Quinn's greatest players, Mike Schmidt.
Thanks so much, John. On behalf of my fellow Wall of Famers, the Phillies, the Carpenter family who's sitting right here, and you fans, of course, I'm honored to be asked to speak about a friend and one of the most influential people in Phillies history. For many of you young people here, it is pertinent that I talk a little bit about Phillies ownership history. In 1943, Ruly Carpenter's grandfather purchased the Phillies. Ruly Carpenter's grandfather purchased it from William Cox, starting the longest tenured ownership in Phillies history. Ruly's dad was installed as president at that time. In 1972, 30 years later, the club was still in the Carpenter family when Ruly Carpenter III, known to us all as Ruly, took over for his father. During Ruly's ownership, from 1972 to 1981, the Phillies organization became the class of baseball, both on and off the field. As the club's first modern-day owner, Ruly, along with Paul Owens and Dallas Green, ushered the team through the early free agent era turmoil, which changed the game immensely. What's commonplace in the game today wasn't so much in the 70s. Owners and players were constantly fighting on how to move the game forward, and Ruly was right in the middle. While this was going on, Ruly maintained close relationships with his players, often hunting with Bob Boone, and Greg Lozinski. You can find him working out in the bowels of Veterans Stadium with his close friend Gus Heflin. And you can find us involved with those workouts as well. He'd be so happy that we mentioned Gus Heflin, who was a coach and mentor to many of us. It goes without saying that Ruley was a beloved family man. As you can see here with the Ruley Carpenter family sitting in front of us. Stephanie, I know how much you miss Ruley. Well, the former players behind me, the ones with the white hair, who he shared so much with Ruley. We enjoyed regular season successes, but several postseason struggles, both of which Ruley was at the center of. Then came 1980, when it all changed as we reached the top, winning the World Championship. I could see Ruley in the clubhouse, covered with champagne, spraying it all over all of us. All the ups and downs in the 70s were washed away with that champagne. He was one of us. He belonged there. Those hugs were real. He never stopped believing in us. He took the wins and the frustrated losses just like we did. On September 13, 2021, he passed away unexpectedly. He made an indelible impression on all of us. He used to amble into the clubhouse, head straight for our man, Greg, Larry, and myself, and the barge would start. We'd start laughing and getting on each other. He was like one of us in the clubhouse. Nothing was off limits. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wall of Fame is to honor those who in their own way made a unique contribution to Phillies history. Indeed, this was the case with Ruley Carpenter. It is my honor, on behalf of the Phillies, to welcome Robert M. Carpenter III, our friend Ruley, to the Phillies Wall of Fame. I would also like to take this time to congratulate the third member of the Toyota Hall of Fame of the class of 2023, Scott Rowland. Hey.
Who's the second one?
We don't do that anymore, right? As a fellow third baseman, I marvel at some of the instincts and the ability Scott had to play third base, both offensively and defensively. Scott could not be with us tonight because of some personal family issues. We look forward to welcoming Scott back to Philadelphia on September 22nd, when we will honor him as the third 2023 member of the Wall of Fame. So now please direct your attention to Fanavision in left field, where there'll be a special tribute to our 2023 class of the Toyota Phillies Wall of Fame.
This is Larry Gulla. It's my honor today to welcome 3 new members to the Phillies Wall of Fame, a unique club that features some of the greatest people in our franchise. John Quinn came to the Phillies in 1959 and became the longest tenured general manager in our history. One of his first moves was to hire Gene Mauch as his manager. Gene went on to win more games than any other Phillies manager except Charlie Manuel. As the decade of the 60s progressed, Quinn built the first racially diverse ball club in franchise history. The infamous 1964 team almost captured the National League pennant. If you walk through the Phillies Wall of Fame, you will see an impressive group of players who came here on John Quinn's watch. Tony Taylor, Johnny Callis, Greg Lozinski, Bob Boone, and some skinny kid from Sacramento who was signed as an undrafted free agent.
He spent 14 years there, made some tremendous trades that resulted in lots of success during his tenure there.
You would really enjoy the fact that he signed certain players that grew up in the organization and became really good, and he appreciated that. He was the architect. I mean, he put all those people together, making the club better and making them the point where they could be a big winner.
Even more impressive are the John Quinn players who have received the highest reward the team can give, the retired number.
That's an amazing feeling when you think about it. Money and Carlton and Schmidt and able to acquire those outstanding players.
In one of his final moves as GM, John completed one of the greatest trades in baseball history, bringing Steve Carlton from the Cardinals for Rick Wise.
I could thank John for getting over to the Phillies. I changed life here. I got to pitch every fourth day. Before I made a chance to pitch the way I needed to pitch as a young person, and work every day. I was really young. So, thanks, John.
It's certainly a thrill and an honor for us to know that Dad is being accorded this wonderful honor. We couldn't be more proud knowing that Dad joins a host of all-stars that are being inducted into the Phillies Hall of Fame.
The Steve Carlton era began in 1972 and signaled a new direction for the Phillies franchise. Also that year, a young executive was promoted to team president, and the fortunes of the club began to climb. Willie Carpenter was just 32 years old when he took command. His family had owned the Phillies since his childhood, and he had worked his way up through various levels of the organization. He immediately assembled a team of Paul Owens and Dallas Reed to help build the ball club and minor league system. An athlete himself, Rudy played both baseball and football at Yale. His strongest assets were his baseball instincts and his youth.
He really wasn't that much older than a lot of the players. He lived, and he was an old school baseball guy who happened to own the Phillies.
It's not often players really have a deep effect if they're older, but that is different here. All those Phillies from those great teams really enjoy the way that they're around them. They enjoy it. They're a beautiful thing to watch. Our age difference made us closer to brothers than what you normally find in a relationship between a player and owner. Out there on the mound pitching at home, Rudy was always behind the plexiglass with the ground crew watching the games and rooting for you. And not only behind home plate, but the games on a lot of occasions, he would come into our locker room and grab a chair, turn it around the other way, and sit down and lean over there and listen to Lozinski and Bola and Vukovic who go at it and talk baseball and rip each other and just have a great time, relating to us players.
If you were in a slump, you thought it could always happen. If it wasn't physically, it'd be mental, and he talked, you lay out next to him, he looked behind me in Bell Stadium and they had the glass, and he's sitting right there. He cared about the players. I mean, he'd come down every day when he's there, come through the clubhouse, say hello, talk to you, watch batting practice, and it was like he was at home.
He was that kind of an owner. I mean, he was a cool guy, he did the game. Much like John Middleton, I could walk in the clubhouse with a smile on his face and speak to you about anything.
Well, he was really honest, there's no question. There wasn't anything different about him. He was our boss, but we had to do this or that. He was our friend. He understood the importance of a strong minor league system and having a good scouting department. He was involved in every aspect of what went on between the white lines, so to speak.
He made me a Phillies family life, so to speak. I'm one of the few players in Major League Baseball history that have played for the same organization his entire career.
I think the biggest thing with him is he stuck with this team, and I would give Rudy credit before the 86 because I don't want to break this team up. But if we don't get to the World Series, we're going to have to. Most of those guys that came out of the system, you learn a lot better than I did. We were as happy for Rudy that we won as we were as players.
It's also one of the classics in the same came from Dallas Phillies. First one there.
He was a very player-friendly owner, and we were just his players, we were his friends. Rudy was a special owner. I don't think we'll find many players who are never again.
I owe a lot to Willie Carpenter and his family, and he will always be a special friend. I'm excited and happy for that family that he is now a member of the Phillies Hall of Fame. I look forward to having his plaque up there with mine.
Sure, it's going to be bittersweet. We wish he was here to be here in person, of course, but he does belong up there. I'm glad he's going to go up.
This franchise has been in existence for 96 years. I think I saw on the paper out that they don't have to wait 96 years for another World Championship. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my life. It's just the greatest thing that's ever happened in my family.
20 years later, I was honored to be named as a Phillies manager. And one of the most most exciting and dynamic players I ever managed was Scott Rowland. Scott began his career as a National League Rookie of the Year in 1997. While his power was evident, it was his defensive ability that dazzled everyone. He was quite simply one of the greatest infielders I have ever seen.
Oh, what a play by Rowland. Chopped to third base. Rowland ties him out. Running goes to first. That's a double play. Obviously, Rowland got it. Goes quickly to second, double play.
He was that hard-nosed, old school bit of work. If he had an issue with you, it was going to be between you and him, and I respected that. He wasn't going to announce it. He was going to come out and be soft. He wasn't loud. I think it's good for us.
Everything was tangible with Scott. You saw it every day, the way he went about his business, the way he operated in the clubhouse, and the way that other people responded to him.
Very intense player, knew how to play the game. You know, I've seen him about his defense, one of the best defensive third baseman I've seen. Coming with a 5-foot player.
That kid went after it like it was the last ground ball, the last pitch he was going to see. The way he smothered balls, the way he moved to his right, to his left. He just had that grit. He knew that he was going to be a workhorse. He worked hard on the field. He wasn't going to get hurt. He wasn't the guy who's going to go out there and dive for a ball and not come back out. Or he broke a finger, he's going to play. And so I respect that, Scott.
One of my favorite memories in my Phillies history was the night we returned to play after the tragedy of 9/11. No one knew what to expect on this most emotional night. Scott Rowland rose to the occasion. It was one of the greatest nights in the history of the event. Scott's Phillies career ended the following year. He went on to play a total of 17 seasons in the major leagues and was awarded with a well-deserved induction into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown.
I would hope that obviously the way that he has performed since leaving the Phillies, people will clearly understand what a pleasure it was to have him here to show what we've talked about, the talent, the intensity, the attention to detail that he brought not only to the clubhouse but to the entire organization. We wanted to get good and stay good. We wanted to develop our players through our system, and eventually it did manifest itself in 2008. And along the way, you had guys like Scott that decided to go elsewhere, but they helped set the foundation and validate the things that we were trying to do, which eventually led to what took place from 2008 on.
It's also fitting that we honor him in the place where that career began. I'm happy to welcome Scott to join me on the Phillies Wall of Fame. Here's a message from our latest inductee that was recorded a few weeks ago at Cooperstown.
I'd like to thank the Phillies for inducting to a Wall of Fame. I'm honored to be joining so many great players and friends on the wall. Sorry I couldn't be there today, but I'm looking forward to coming back to Philly on September 22nd. I can't wait to celebrate with some old friends and see you all qualified. In the meantime, have a great summer and go Phillies.
We recognize and welcome the three newest members to the Phillies Wall of Fame.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to once again turn your attention to television as Phillies Chairman Emeritus Bill Giles unveils the bronze plaques on the Toyota Phillies Wall of Fame in the left field plaza. Bill, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And now, we'd like to invite to the stage a member from each of the Carpenter and Quinn families. Please join us in welcoming Ruli's widow Stephanie Carpenter and John's grandson Jay Heeman. Now, as they approach the stage, we ask Phillies Hall of Famers Larry Boa and Steve Carlton to stand for one more presentation. the Carpenter and Quinn families for their profound contribution to the legacy of Phillies baseball. On behalf of the Phillies, Steve and Mary present each of you with your own commemorative Wall of Fame plaques to mark your place in Phillies history. Congratulations from the Phillies. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the newest members of the Toyota Phillies Wall of Fame class of 2023, John Quinn and Rolling Carpenter. And now, ladies and gentlemen, would you all please stand?